What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar and then talk about what's happening with the sell-off in the market so far. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer is very soon at the end of March. Anyways, as far as Tesla and the market are going, we're still seeing some weakness right now, especially as we're seeing a lot of these semiconductors still selling off. So, for example, what's leading the market down is Nvidia. This is down almost 16%, now continuing to take a big hit. And the question is what's happening from this point on. So, as you guys know, we had that news involving DeepSeek. That's basically this Chinese startup company that managed to build an AI very similar to ChatGPT. It's open sourced, so once again, the code is viewable for people out there, and they claim they managed to build this with very limited funding. Now, well, we don't know what the true funding is. I'm going to argue that we may not truly know exactly how much it would be, but we could assume that with them being able to compete with the US, it is not the best of news, at least for these US investors and these US tech giants. So that's led to some questions about how competitive the US is going to remain, and also other questions like that, because you have to remember that, yes, the US is dominant. They are way ahead of their competitors when it comes to tech and AI developments, but you have to also remember simultaneously that sometimes the competitors could get their own advantages, and then that could really change the way you view things. So that's very important, right? It's having a big effect on the U.S. markets. It's having a big effect on many of these semiconductor stocks, and that's why Nvidia is down quite a bit. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there's been some news that's come out that Tesla is joining BMW and Chinese producers in filing a challenge at the Court of Justice of the European Union against the EU tariffs on Chinese-made EVs, according to the filing reports that came out from the courts. Now, the challenge will open a new front that's going to conflict with some things that have been said. The EU has imposed the tariffs on the Chinese-made EVs at the end of October. The rate for Tesla was about 7.8% lower than any of its competitors, but simultaneously, what they would do whatever they can to try to get those as down as possible, especially because of European demand that has slowed down since last year. So hopefully we see some kind of improvement. If not, I still think Tesla sales are going to be fine regardless of what happens. But I still hope that if they can see some kind of resolution, this can improve things a bit more for them. So we'll see how it goes. Other than that, we're going to be watching for the rest of these tickers to develop. So starting off with Tesla, okay, we made this nice rebound attempt to fill this gap from the pre-markets. We did a good job at pushing to 405, but notice that Tesla formed a divergence and we weren't able to hold above this. We're just continuing to reject again. We have this imbalance down here around the 394 area, and then we're continuing to fall back down towards these supports. So if we end up losing 395 on Tesla, I'm looking for essentially 390 flats. And if that fails us, we could be looking for a continuation lower all the way down towards like 385. For Tesla to bounce, you want to reclaim 400 plus. As of right now, we're struggling to hold above it, and Tesla's getting rejected. So there's a little bit of weakness that's still present, and this is going to be at risk of dipping towards these lower levels, all the way back down to the lower 390s. So please be careful with Tesla, guys. Unless we reclaim 400, we're still technically on a larger downtrend. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we got this big rejection. If we can't hold 390, even the main support's currently at 383. That's our 200 EMA. If we lose that on Tesla, we will be dumping a lot more. But for now, just know that we're going to be watching this mid 390 area to see if that holds. So please be very careful. Once again, the 5-minute looks a bit more bearish, so we'll see if we reclaim 400 or not. But for now, we do favor downside even more. On Nvidia, we're continuing to form a downtrend right here. We're just making lower highs and lower lows. We're rejecting over and over again. We'll see if we can reclaim 123 or not. Otherwise, this will continue to fall a bit more. It's trying to base at 120. If that fails us, I could be looking for the lows to be retested. There's still weakness on the 5 minutes time frame. If I actually zoom out just a little bit more, you can see we're just continuing to reject on the 30 minutes as well. It's still looking very lackluster, so I'm a little bit concerned about this. And then when you look at the 4-hour, we're still looking kind of weak here. Nvidia has lost this structure right here at this like 126 area, and we're going to be approaching the support. So the main support's currently around this. We have support at 117.5 and then also at 115. We'll see if those supports hold or not, but I just want to say once again there is weakness developing on this chart nonetheless. So you want to be very, very careful with this. that could still drag the market lower, especially the QQQ and NQ. So please be very, very careful. Going back to SPY and the others, so SPY dumped really hard all the way down to about 589. Then we bounced back up to 598 and we were not able to hold above 600. So if we could reclaim 600, I think we could bounce to 603 plus. If we can't get back above 600, this thing will likely end up falling back down to 593. So please be careful with SPY. On the smaller time frames, it's kind of shuffling a bit. So you guys can see it's been trading sideways right here, but it's struggling so far to hold above its the 30 minutes 20 EMA so far. So it's around that 598 area. We're struggling to hold up so far. I want to see us reclaim 598 and then 600 to turn back up. If we can't get back above at least 600, like I said before, we could continue to fall and slowly make our way down towards the lower 590s. So please be careful, guys. We'll see if we reclaim these levels or not. On the QQQ, the same thing is going on, same setup. We tried to bounce. I want to see it reclaim 518. If we reclaim 518, we bounce back up towards the 520 area, 523. If we can't reclaim at least 518, we're going to be at risk of continuing to fall back down towards lower levels, such as the support right here, all the way down towards 508 or even below that. So there's still weakness right over here. We're going to be looking at this blue trend line of support. That's going to be something worth watching. And if we can't hold above that, 510, 508 area, we're going to continue to dump back down to the low 500s. So far, it's looking a little bit lackluster. We'll give this more time to develop, but just know that there's still weakness on the QQQ. Why? Because Nvidia is still looking relatively weak. Now, on the other hand, we have small caps that are holding up a little bit better, so that's why the Russell is trying to hold up here. We're looking for 227.5 as our resistance. We'll see if we break past it or not. We're just shuffling right now. We've been range bound for the most part between 227 and 226.5, going back and forth between these levels. If we break 227.5, we could be pushing back up for about 228.5. And if we lose 225.7, we're going to be dumping back down. We're stuck in the middle for now, so give this some time, but I think we could be dipping a little bit. So just be careful. We're just range bound. On ES, we're just barely trying to hold this 6,000 area. So we tried to push back up to 6,015, rejected. So if we can't hold above 6,000, we're looking for a dip back down to about the 5980s. If we break past 6,050, we're looking for a bounce for 6,080. So to me, this is looking like we have gotten a big rejection right here. We're making lower highs, and we weren't able to break past our 50 EMA, so this may continue to fall back down. So we're looking for 6,000 as our support, not to mention 5975. So just be very, very careful. For NQ, we're also getting rejections right here. Notice that we tried to get back to our 200 EMA and we failed to break past that at 21,500. We hit 21,400 instead and rejected. So in order for me to turn bullish, I want to see us reclaim these EMAs. We haven't been able to do that yet. And as of right now, we're rejecting. So we're going to be looking at the support right here where this key blue trend line happens to be. The 21,100 zone around there. If that fails us, we could be revisiting 20,800. There's a risk of downside still, so please be very careful. Another example is Bitcoin. We dumped. I said to watch our 200 EMA to see if we could hold it or not. So far, we're struggling to hold this, so it is still favoring 98,000 or so. So be very, very careful with that. And then, like I said about Tesla, Tesla's showing a little bit of weakness here. I would have loved to see Tesla reclaim 400. If we can't, we're going to likely be dipping lower. So please be careful with Tesla. So be very mindful with that. Now, what's outperforming the market is the fact that Apple is getting some buyers stepping in before its earnings. They are historically very strong during earnings. If we break 230, we're looking for an attempt to get back up towards 235. And if we lose 225, we're looking for a dip back down to 220. I think that if 230 breaks, we could be pushing higher. So it is still looking bullish. And we managed to break past 224, which is a good sign. So we're outperforming other stocks out there. Despite that, we have Coin. Coin is looking at 274 is our main support. We got to hold that. If we don't, we could be dipping back down to 268. So please be careful. With Amazon, we pumped very nicely to resistance around 232. If we break past this, we could push for 235. If we can't, we could be dipping to 231 or below, back down to 228. I'm seeing a weakness. We got to try to get back above 233. Otherwise, we could be dipping to 230 all over again. For Meta kind of rejected right here. We have this resistance at 660. If we can't get back above that, we could continue to fall back down towards these lower levels. We're in the middle with Meta. This was outperforming the market, hitting the 660s, but then we weren't able to hold above that. We might dip closer to about the 645 area before it tries to bounce again. Could dip a little bit more, so give it some time. Microsoft got a rejection right here. I just want to mention that I want to see Microsoft get back above like 435 to really start pushing up. If we can't do that, this is going to likely be a little bit lackluster, and we could be on our way back down to about 422. So be careful if we can't get back above those levels. Google has this big gap to fill over here. If we can't get back above that, we could continue to fall. We're range bound, so if we can't get back above 196, we could be dipping closer to about 192. So just be very careful. So give this the time it needs. The VIX is breaking out just like what we predicted. We'll see if the VIX comes down to fill this gap or not. It kind of pumped and rejected, but there's no guarantee yet because this could just be the start of a breakout. We're going to be waiting to see if the market rejects more. So just be very, very careful, guys. What is my view of the market as of right now? If you look at Tesla, now we're at 395. We're still selling off. We're still kind of weak. Same thing with Nvidia. Nvidia is showing weakness, and this is what's dragging the market down. So please be very, very careful with the way the market is moving. The algos have shifted in favor of bears. For now, there is weakness. Unless we reclaim the resistance levels I called out, if we get back above them, yes, things could shift. But as of right now, we have not done that, so we favor downside. With that being said, I thank you for listening. Have a good rest of your day, and peace out.